Have you had that experience where you think you're overweight and then you told your friend about that, but your good friend says, "No, you're not. What are you saying? You're not fat. You're not overweight." Or maybe your scale shows your weight is increasing, but then you're not worried because you don't really know what that number means. Have you been told by somebody, "Hey, you're too skinny already. What are you doing? I'm worried." But then you're not because you feel great at that weight. My patient is a 60-year-old gentleman, and he's pretty healthy. He has so far lost 30 pounds, and his belly, his waist circumference has reduced by 9 inches already. He feels so good. But then he met his business, his friend. His friend was concerned that he's leaner. His friend said, "You look thin. Are you okay?" People's way to gauge your state of health is based on how you look to them. We don't use our eyes to tell us if we have normal weight, overweight, or we are on a healthy weight, or we are obese. We use the BMI. How to calculate for our BMI? What does your BMI mean? How good is BMI as an indicator of body fatness? Individuals with the same BMI may have different levels of body fat. People who have overweight or obesity compared to those with healthy weight are at increased risk for many serious diseases and health conditions. And this includes all cause of death, high blood pressure or hypertension, high bad cholesterol or LDL, low HDL or low good cholesterol, high triglycerides, coronary artery disease, stroke, gallbladder diseases, osteoarthritis, depression, anxiety, and other mental disorders. Don't just get your weight and say, "Yeah, it sounds high to me, but I've always been heavy all my life." Hey everybody, this is Dr. Edelita yet again for another episode of my Sunday Drive. I'm here live every weekend to bring you valuable information that can help you take back control of your health and your life. Know that all my videos are recorded every weekend and they are available here in our Facebook group, The Lifestyle Changer MD. They're also available in my YouTube channel, the same name. And if you're in for podcasts, articles, and then videos too, they're also all available in my website for free. Now, what do I want to talk to you about today? Very, very valuable. What I want to teach you in this video is a tool on how to assess where you are with your weight objectively. No personal biases. Have you had that experience where you think you're overweight and then you told your friend about that, but your good friend says, "No, you're not. What are you saying? You're not fat. You're not overweight." Or maybe your scale, when you step on your weighing scale, your scale shows your weight is increasing, but then you're not worried because you don't really know what that number means. Or have you been told by somebody, "Hey, you're too skinny already. What are you doing? I'm worried." But then you're not because you feel great at that weight. But don't their comments and the way you think actually confuses you in most times? That happens to me and to a lot of my patients. For example, this is a story from one of my patients. My patient is a 60-year-old gentleman, and he's pretty healthy. He is not on medications. He has mild hypertension only that don't need to be medicated because he's on a whole food plant-based diet and adapting healthy lifestyle, and it's improving, right? But he has some sleep issues, but then he works out in the gym every day. So for an average 60-year-old, not pretty bad. But the reason he sought my help is that he wanted to get rid of his belly fat, and which we can call visceral fat. He has so far lost 30 pounds, and his belly, his waist circumference has reduced by 9 inches already. So 30 pounds weight loss and 9 inches off in his waist. He feels so good. At 62 years old, his shoulder, his chest, his thigh, are finally showing some definition of muscles, which he likes. And then he's got more strength. He could deadlift 220 pounds, and his fitness coach was amazed at his display of strength at 60 years old. So he feels good. But then he met his business, his friend was also a businessman, and but he has not seen him for quite a while. His friend was concerned that he's leaner. Do you know what his friend said to him or asked him? His friend said, "You look thin. Are you okay? Are you struggling with something? Do you have a problem I can help you with?" And my patient just smiled. You may have a similar encounter too, or the opposite. But what I noticed, I'm not sure if you also notice this, what I noticed is that people's way to gauge your state of health is based on how you look to them, right? How you look to them and how awfully different you are from them and from the group. Weight is an objective parameter that needs to be measured. But we have become accustomed, for some reason, we have become accustomed to using our eyes as a scale, as if our eyes have built in weight sensors. Not only that it is wrong to think that way, but it is also prone to be affected by our personal biases. What do I mean by this? I have another patient. She is a 78-year-old woman with occluded blood vessels in her neck, in her heart, in her arms, and in her thigh. She couldn't raise her arm to comb her hair for way too long, or she could not walk long distance due to pain in these parts because the blood flow to her arm and to her legs is not good because her blood vessels are narrowed, are occluded, are obstructed. So as she was losing weight under my watch, her family got so worried and overly concerned, and because they think that she looks sick enough, even though all those symptoms have improved. I kept encouraging her that we don't use our eyes to tell us if we have normal weight, overweight, or we are on a healthy weight, or we are obese. We use the BMI. BMI. What is a BMI? BMI is a body mass index. It is a low-cost method of screening weight categories to determine if your weight is in a category of underweight, healthy, overweight, or obese. The BMI, although it's not a direct, measure of body fat, it has moderate correlations with direct measurements of body fat. And it is associated with various metabolic and disease outcomes. So if you look at studies, scientific studies that has something to do with weight effects or impact, the BMI, body mass index, is what's been, utilized more. Now, how to calculate for our BMI? Very simple. The BMI, body mass index, is you can calculate that manually if you're a math wizard or something. It's just an equation which says BMI is equal to your weight in pounds. Weight in kilograms divided by the square of your height in meters. We're lucky. We are in a high tech, era. So I'm going to show you. You don't need to break your head doing that math calculation, because we're going to make use of the online calculator. Okay, what you're seeing now is the online calculator. What you're going to do is just go to Google and type BMI calculator, and many calculators will come up there depending on website. I chose the CDC BMI calculator. So what you're going to do is just enter your weight and your height. So for example, for a weight of 5 feet, you have a weight of 5 feet height of 5 feet and weight of 120 pounds, right? Click calculate. Your BMI is 23.4. Okay, your BMI is 23.4. Question: what does your BMI mean? If you're an adult, please remember that the BMI cutoff points are different for Asians and for Americans. Asians have lower BMI cutoff points. So what you see here, the first two columns, first column is colored, multicolored. This is for Asian and Asian Americans. And the next column is based from the NIH, which is also used by Americans, okay? Or here in the US. So what was your BMI? 23.4. Now, find your BMI based on the range. Here you'll see it falls in the third row, right? BMI of 23.4 falls in this category. If you are Asian, like for example, for me, I'm a Filipino, so I'm an Asian, but then I'm here in the US. So what am I going to base my BMI from? I'm going to base it from the Asians, because I am really by blood and raised as Asian, right? So the 23.4 would fall under this category of overweight. See this? Overweight. I'm already overweight, at a weight of 120 pounds. But if you base it from Americans, that's still normal. So what I always tell my friends, my patients, that please know that if you are Asian, your BMI cutoff is lower than the Americans. You can't base your BMI from the Americans, because you're not. And so if I say 23.4, I'm still good. I'm still normal based from the Caucasian or American cutoff points, but that's not right. I am Asian, so I'm already overweight. So if this table seems valuable to you, please take a screenshot of this one and have it handy, because it's not easy to memorize this. What we remember though, standard wise, is that the normal BMI is 18.5 to 24.9. That's for Caucasian. Remember, if you're an Asian, if you hit 23 BMI, you're already in the overweight category. If you hit 27 BMI, you're already in obese category. when Americans are still in that BMI, 27 or 28, 29, they are just still overweight. So please base your BMI based on um, your ethnicity or race. Now, do BMI interpretations differ between children, teens, and adults? Because that what I showed you is for adults. BMI for children and teens is different, is interpreted differently than for adults due to differences in their body fat and changes with age. It must be age and sex specific for accurate interpretation, which your pediatrician can help you interpret the BMI for your kids. But there is a difference. What I showed you again was for adults. Okay. Now, next question. How good is BMI as an indicator of body fatness? BMI is a fairly strong indicator of body fat, but individuals with the same BMI may have different levels of body fat. Women tend to have more body fat than men, and the amount of body fat may vary by race, ethnicity, age, athletic status, even if the BMI is the same. Most important point I want to drive here is a question of individuals. Do individuals with the same weight have the same body fat? Here, I'm going to show you. Not necessarily. Here you'll see, this is a scan, a full body scan of two men with the same height, same weight, but different levels of body fat. How do we tell? Well, when you're looking at a scan, basic information you need to know. If it's black, it means air, just like here in the lungs. If it's grayish color, it means solid organ tissue, like the brain, the liver, right? The muscles right here in your legs and arms. Now, if it's white, means bone, but white can also means fat. So here's the man on the right side. Okay. Now let's focus on this butterfly structure here. Butterfly structure here. That's the liver. That's our liver. Now, in this man on the right side, his liver is normal looking, right? It's grayish because it's a solid organ tissue. And that's what the normal liver should look like. But here, to the left, this man with the same weight, same height as the other on the right has a bigger liver, and the liver has only about 3/4 of it grayish. 3/4 normal looking liver tissue. The rest are what? Whitish. These are fats. You're looking at fat. So this is fatty liver. And when your liver is infiltrated with fat, it can be enlarged, just like this. Now, that's what I meant by individuals with the same BMI may have different levels of body fatness. Okay? But overall, generally, the body mass index has a moderate correlation to body fatness. Are there other ways to assess body fat besides BMI? Yes. Alternative methods to assess body fatness include skin foldness, measuring, underwater weight, bioelectrical impedance, use of dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, and isotope dilution. These are all kind of fancy methods that are not always available, and some are really expensive and quite require skilled personnel. So they can also be challenging to standardize even if you have that machine too, making the comparisons of studies across periods and results complicated. But as I've mentioned, the BMI, which is measuring your weight and your height, calculate the BMI that is moderately strong enough to correlate with your body fatness. Now, another question you might have in mind: if an athlete or other persons with a lot of muscles has a BMI over 25 for Americans or over 23 for Asians, is that person still considered to be overweight or obese? That's a common question I get from my patients. BMI categories classify individuals with the BMI between 25 to 29.9 as overweight, and those over 30 as obese for Americans. However, athletes may have high BMI due to increased muscle mass rather than the fat. Now, if you are in this category, I recommend that you still want to talk to your healthcare professional or providers, so you can be evaluated for your health status and your risk appropriately. It's not still advisable to just assume that that's muscle. You have to have an input from your healthcare professionals. Okay, now let's say you are in the overweight or obese category. What are the health effects of overweight and obesity? People who have overweight or obesity compared to those with healthy weight are at increased risk for many serious diseases and health conditions. And this includes all cause of death, high blood pressure or hypertension, high bad cholesterol or LDL, low HDL or low good cholesterol, high triglycerides. These are all in your blood test. You need to get your doctor to order you a lipid panel or cholesterol panel. Now, you are also at risk for type 2 diabetes, coronary artery disease or blockage of blood flow in the heart, stroke, gallbladder diseases, osteoarthritis, sleep apnea and breathing problems, many types of cancer, low quality of life, mental illness. You believe that? Mental illness such as depression, anxiety, and other mental disorders, body pain and difficulty with physical functioning, which is given, right? Now, know a lot of stuff already about BMI. Want to go back and know what happened to my patients? Going back to my businessman patient, his BMI then was 30 when we started, and now it's down to 25. He's not affected by any comment from his friends. 10 more pounds to go to lose, and his BMI is normal. Now, what about my other woman patient whose family kept begging also her to gain more weight? Well, she listened to her family's plea, desperate plea, that she should eat meat again and dairy again to look better. And I wonder, to look better to their eyes? Because as far as I know, my patient was contented of her weight and was happy that she could now comb her hair for as long as she wants, right? And she could walk farther distances without her pain in her legs. But I heard she's not doing very well. She bend in and accommodate and listen and um, give in to her family's request. Now I'm telling you this. I'm educating you about the BMI because I have personal experience with and a lot of personal and professional in my career experience about people failing in their attempt to be healthy, in their struggle, in their journey to become healthy, because just because they're affected by the noise, just because they are influenced by the concerns that are not reasonable to start with. And I have known of one person who, was going in the right direction until he got bombarded with so many um, comments. You are losing weight. Are you sick? And that's not good. You don't look good. But then my patient looked good from my standpoint as I'm looking at her blood test results, as we are talking about how her symptoms have improved. So I would like to say, use the BMI tool if you want to know what category you are based on your weight. Don't just get your weight and say, yeah, it sounds high to me, but I've always been heavy all my life. Get your weight, get your BMI calculated, plug in those numbers in Google, find that calculator. There's so many. Plug in those numbers in that calculator, let it calculate your BMI. Use the table for your reference if you are in normal weight, so it can tell you if you're normal weight, underweight, overweight, or obese. And don't forget to find your classification if you are Caucasian or American, or if you're Asian, the cutoff points are different. Okay? I hope you learn something about this in this video. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you make it a Sunday routine to join me live here in the Lifestyle Changer MD every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and to my kababayans in the Philippines, that's Sunday at 11 p.m. Bye everyone, I'll see you next week.